Hey, what's going on everyone? MONADO Max here, and today I brought out a good old Nintendo Switch game that I've been wanting to review on the channel for quite some time.
Where's part 3? Where's part 3?
No part 3. I don't... Did you guys hear that? Anyways, today I wanted to do a review on the game that I've been really playing a lot of and had a lot of fun time playing.
Where's part 3? Where's part 3?
No, I'm not. Stop. No, I want to do this video. I don't want to always do rare Switch game videos. I have other videos on the channel. Do you guys hear that? Is that just me? Anyways, I really wanted to review Garfield Kart today, as it's a game I've been playing a lot on my Nintendo Switch, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's a game that you can... Stop! Fine. I will do it. I will do part 3 to rare Switch games, because you guys won't stop. I can't even do regular videos on this channel without you guys asking for this video. I can't even play Garfield Kart in peace without there being comments of, where's part 3? So fine, you guys win. We're gonna do part 3 of rare Nintendo Switch games. My name is MONADO Max, and welcome to part 3 of rare Switch games to buy before they become super rare. Now, after calming down a bit, I must say, if you guys have not checked out the first 2 parts in the series, we go over a lot of games on there that you probably should look into buying, because some of them are still kind of decently priced. Well, the first part, we kind of had some of those games raised in value, but on part 2, we still hold some games on there that you could still buy. And on part 3, I'm sure the same thing could potentially happen. Now, I want to highly highlight the fact that this is us just speculating about Switch games to buy before they become rare. We could end up being very wrong or very right, which so far we've ended up being very right on most of what we've talked about, but we sometimes throw obscure ideas out there. So keep in mind before you get all comments like, why did you put this game on the list and not this other game on the list? Well, I'm assuming there'll be another part down the road because there's other games on here that I could talk about, but I've come up with another list of games that you guys should look to buy before they become super expensive. Some of these are already kind of rare, but not expensive. So let's go ahead and get into this amazing top 10 list. This is in no particular order, but starting in number 10, we have the Layton's mystery game that was on Nintendo Switch. Now, this is a game that came out of the Nintendo Switch really out of nowhere. It was one of the last level 5 releases out there, and I think one of the only level 5 releases out there for the Nintendo Switch before they shut down. The company shut down. Now, it is starting to make a comeback. I believe they're having their first project come back as a company sometime this year, like late this year. Now, gotta remember, level 5 used to be out of a business that no longer exists. The Professor Layton series is pretty popular, and the fact that we only had one game for the Nintendo Switch, and that one game wasn't really, from my understanding, a true Professor Layton game, it was more of a spin-off game. This could be one of those games once Professor Layton comes back to the series, because they're doing another Professor Layton game. There's no release date, they just announced Level 5 is making one. This is probably going to be one of those games that people really want to get to once the next Professor Layton game comes out for the Switch. Assuming it comes out for the Switch, it could very well be for the next Nintendo console, considering how late we are into the Nintendo cycle of the Switch. However, at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a game that will be highly sought after, and still a game that you can find for decently priced. I think I've seen it go for about 50 bucks. 50 bucks for this, I think, is going to be a good price, because this is a game that is going to easily be, in my opinion, an over $100 game in a few months, potentially years from now. Okay, coming in number 9, this is going to be probably one that you guys are not going to believe me on, because it just doesn't seem possible, but we've talked about on this channel how most of the time when a Switch game sells out, you're not going to see a restock for it when it comes to these third-party games. Because Switch cartridges are very expensive to make, like very expensive, and you have to order a lot to actually do a restock for a game. So that's why a lot of Switch games go out of print. And we have a game right here that surprisingly went out of print very fast. Persona 5 Royal. You cannot find this game anywhere right now, brand new, anywhere. I think the only place that you can sometimes find it is Amazon. But everywhere else, GameStop, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, all of them are sold out or are no longer selling this game, but mostly sold out. Persona 5 Royal is a huge game to come to the Nintendo Switch. Probably one of the biggest third-party games that we have on Nintendo Switch. Going into the next Nintendo console, and when we find out that the next Nintendo console is backwards compatible, this is going to be a game that people are going to want to buy. And a lot of people don't realize that this game is out of stock yet, because this is actually a recent finding that has just happened. Now, Coleman might show an image of the thing that's going around showing that this is sold out everywhere, and this is, again, this is surprising. An interesting thing about Persona 5 Royal 2 is there's two versions of the game out there. There's this Steelbook edition, and then there's a standard normal edition out there. They both came out at the same time at the same price, which was kind of weird. So yeah, that's something to look out for. This is a game you can still find like on eBay and other people selling their copy for like 60 bucks. I think this is one that you should definitely pick up because a lot of people are going to want to buy this game for the next Nintendo console whenever we get that next Nintendo console. And just in general, I think Persona 5 Royal, people are going to want that game physically on their Nintendo Switch. Coming in number 8 is a weird one, a very weird one. We had this scenario happen in the last part where we had a game that was only digital that came out physical and no one knew it had a physical release and it had a digital physical box. So the whole story is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, it came out on the Switch, but it was digital only. In fact, we just uploaded a video of me holding the digital only game inside of a box, or a download code inside of a box. I feel like that's such a waste of plastic. I don't understand the point of that. Why didn't you, well, no, cartridges are very expensive. Point is, the developers of that game canceled the Switch physical copy. I'm holding it right now, but Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 has such a weird release. I have this at number 8 because this was supposed to have a standard normal release like what I'm holding right now, but they completely canceled it towards the middle of, I think actually the middle of October is when we found this news out, that the Switch version would no longer have a physical release. They were going to delay the physical release to release this digital copy one that we found the other day. And now on Amazon, and from my understanding, this is only on Amazon right now, you can buy Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 with the cartridge now. No other retailer, from my understanding, sells this except for Amazon. All the other retailers sell the download code. To me, that is very weird, and I feel like a lot of people are going to want to buy this due to it being what it is and how it has been rated a really good game. And not to mention the weird release calendar that it had. Digital release only, got this little physical digital code, was supposed to have a physical, didn't happen, then has a physical copy come out of nowhere. Again, this has not been officially announced anywhere. So it's so weird. So weird, and I think this is one, because of how obscure and weird the story is behind this physical release, it's one to look for. It goes on sale a lot for 30 bucks on Amazon, so if you want to take the chance on it, up to you. But this could be one that doesn't end up being rare. Like I said, we throw some predictions in there, and we also include weird stories. Coming in number 7 is Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I'm convinced Capcom doesn't really know what they're doing when it comes to these collection of games, because they sometimes release a physical copy and sometimes they don't, and if they do release a physical copy, part of it's on the cartridge, and then you gotta get this download code. It's a mess when it comes to Capcom on Nintendo Switch physical games in America. And I think they have realized that there is a giant interest for their collection games to have physical releases after the success of this, the Great Ace Attorney, and the fact that so many people in America bought Ace Attorney onto the physical copy that was in Japan over here in America because they wanted Ace Attorney on the Switch physically so bad. And when I say this is a successful release, this sold out instantly when the game came out. You had to be lucky to find this game at launch date. Really, the only chance you could get this game is if you had pre-orders, and when they didn't have pre-order copies, it was instantly selling out. This game was hard to find for about a month or two, and then it finally got a little bit of a mini restock. I don't know how and what they did to make that happen, but now it's been a few more months, it's gone. The game is, you cannot find this at retailer stores anymore. And if you do, you need to pick this up because this is a relatively cheap game to buy, and this is going to be one that people are going to want physically because of what it is, the spin-off game series that it is, the fact that it's Mega Man on Switch and it's a physical copy, rare game, that type of stuff. This game has a lot of potential to be very valuable for the Switch. And I think most Capcom titles are going to end up being rare for the Switch. When it comes to the collection ones, I think The Great Ace Attorney, strong chance, and I feel strongly that Ace Attorney Apollo Justice, the trilogy of those games, are probably going to be rare Switch games, especially since the physical copy is only for the Nintendo Switch. There's no PlayStation physical for that. I don't know, this is one that you should definitely buy if you can get your hands on it, because it's very hard, and I think it still runs about $50 to $60. It might be a little bit lower, but this is one you should buy. It's already an out-of-print Switch game. Coming in number 6, this might be a stretch, but I don't know. I feel like we have to put this in because this was such a unexpected Switch title. That's Bayonetta Origins. This came out of nowhere at the Game Awards. This was Nintendo's game announcement, and they had Fire Emblem Engage DLC announced here at the Game Awards. 2022, that's what it was. And they announced this Bayonetta game out of nowhere and that it was coming out in March. $60, and they also was like, oh, it's gonna have a physical release. And the weird part about this is no one wanted this game. Apparently, it was actually a decent art style and kind of interesting, but ultimately, no one wanted this. This game did not sell well because it was a spin-off series that no one really asked for. It was weird. It seemed more like an eShop title that they were charging $60 for. And this game, a lot of people don't realize it's got a physical copy. I don't think it's out of print yet, but they're definitely not going to make more copies. For Nintendo to put a game out of print, it's a lot more difficult to do. But if it's truly a game that's not going to sell, they're going to end production. And I'm 95% sure the production of this one's ending. As for myself at my retail stores, I sometimes see this. But either way, this is going to go out of print. And when people start to realize, hey, the Nintendo Switch has all the Bayonetta games, people are going to want to get this when they realize that there's a 4th Bayonetta title out there that's a spin-off that's not Bayonetta 4. People are going to want to pick this up. And this could potentially be a very, very extremely expensive Switch game in my opinion. Coming in number 5 could be a stretch too, but I'm noticing that at my local Best Buy and other Best Buys that I have gone to, I can't find this game anymore. And I was told that this was supposed to be at places like GameStop and Target, those type of places. And for some reason, it never happened. It was supposed to, might still be, but I don't think so anymore. Return to Monkey Island. Now, I don't know. This says Devolver. I don't know if this is a limited run release or not, because there's no mention of limited run. Except on the back, but I don't know. This would have seemed to be a title that if it wasn't limited run, it'd be like Shredder's Revenge, where you can buy that at any other retailer. And I was told that this was supposed to be one of those games that you could buy at any other retailer. Only place I found was Best Buy. And Best Buy, I can't find this at Best Buy anymore. And this is kind of like another story where it's like, I think this is one that people are going to really want because of what the game is, what the IP is, and the fact that it's the first Monkey Island game in a very long time. This is one that you can still find, I think on eBay, kind of cheap. It's over the value now of what you paid, but not too much over the value. I think I saw some sold listings for like $50. The physical copy was $35 when it came out, and yeah, I don't know. Weird story behind this, considering that, again, GameStop and other places was supposed to sell this, and it just didn't happen. Not a limited run release, but it's a Devolver release. Devolver likes to sell most of their games physically at GameStop and other places. I don't know. This might be one that doesn't count because I'm still trying to figure out the story behind Limited Run, what they have to do with this, considering Devolver, Lucasfilm, which I know Lucasfilm has done some stuff with Limited Run. I don't know. This could be an out there thing. If it's truly, I don't think it's truly a Limited Run game though, because it doesn't have the numbers and all that. This could be an out there thing. At the end of the day, it's still a cheaper Switch game to find that you should buy if you're trying to get stuff before they go high up. Coming in, number 4 is Dark Souls Remastered. I will never forget how Nintendo Direct, I should say it's a mini Nintendo Direct, but this January 2018 Nintendo Mini Direct ended with the announcement of Dark Souls Remastered. I remember so many people, at least online, when I watched reactions, were so disappointed in that. And it was kind of a weird Nintendo announcement, in all honesty, especially since this was a multi-platform release. Nintendo kind of hinted that this would be an exclusive to the Switch. However, the Switch version has a lot of unique things to the game, that being the amiibo support and the fact that there is a Dark Souls amiibo out there. I think once people start to realize, once we get towards the Nintendo collecting scene on the Switch, because the Switch collecting scene is still, it's small, but it's growing very fast, and I think it's about to really be something big within the next year. I think people are going to really want to look for this Dark Souls game, considering a lot of the abilities that you can do with the amiibo and the fact that the Switch version has exclusive stuff like that. And I think this is already a game, actually it is out of print. I have seen this game go for $50 already. Now, I want you guys to know that this game launched at $40. So when you buy this game, I mean, it's already over value, at least over retail value. So it is an out of print Switch game. And again, I think it's going to be one that does go up higher due to the features that we've talked about. Again, this is probably our last one that will be like, out there prediction, but this is one, again, that you can still get for cheap, under $60, under a AAA game, under a triple $60 game. That's one to get. This is one that I really feel like, again, this is probably the only thing different with this one. I think this is going to be one that people will want to get years later after the Nintendo Switch. This one has a unique story behind it. That game being in number 3 is Lost Sphear. This is a game that you can get very cheap right now. $20 right now is what I was seeing sold listings for. What makes this game unique is at one point it used to be the rarest Nintendo Switch game of all time. And the reason why it was one of the rarest Nintendo Switch games of all time was due to the fact that, and this is still the fact to this day, because it never released anywhere else, you were only able to buy this through the Square Enix website. Very similar release to the iconic Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, except they didn't really do, they did like a very, like, you know how you get salt and you're like spraying salt on your food? They did a spraying the salt of that, whereas very minimal restock of Final Fantasy out there. When I say very minimal, very minimal. And they did do another restock of Lost Sphear on the Switch that once again did sell out on their website, and that was it. This game, I think, will strongly be one of those games when people find out about it. From my understanding, it's a Switch exclusive. It's a Square Enix game. You know, there's a lot of what I call Squeenix fans out there that really love Square Enix and go out of their way to buy stuff for their company on these consoles. And a lot of the time, Square Enix games are worth a lot of money on the older consoles, and it's typically those obscure titles. This is an obscure title out there, and I think eventually, like I said, this is going to be a long time from now, people are going to want this because A, it's exclusive to the Switch, and 2, it's... How did I went from A to 2? Okay. B, it's Square Enix, exclusive to the Switch. Weird story behind it. People are going to want that. So, get this. If you're going to get anything on this list, probably get this. Coming in, number 2 is Octopath Traveler. This is a game that has held its value. You can find it for about 60 bucks. Sometimes you can get lucky and find it for 50 bucks. The first Octopath Traveler physically was exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. I think it has now come out on all platforms digitally, but the physical copy of the first Octopath game is exclusive on the Switch and published by Nintendo. It is a Square Enix game, but Nintendo, for whatever reason, they published the Switch version of the game. Well, at one point it was exclusive to the Switch. My whole point in bringing this up is Octopath Traveler has become a series because, well, it's become more than a series. The engine that Octopath Traveler uses, the 2D HD engine, is now being used on other games and way more games down the road. And the way that that whole game series originated, or at least that engine originated, was through Octopath Traveler. And this has become a very popular game. This was also at one point a rare Switch game to find when it first came out, but Nintendo did do a restock on the game. Now you can't find it anywhere again. You can find it pre-owned, you can sometimes find it new, but most of the time you're finding Octopath Traveler 2 now at stores because that has come out last year and is on all platforms. And the interesting thing about Octopath Traveler 2 is you can find that game cheaper than you can find the first game. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I think with there being more of this 2D HD engine stuff, people are going to want to play the original game and own the original game where it all started, and that's going to be this one right here. This is also one you should probably heavily look into buying because the story behind it, what it created, and how it's going to be a franchise at this point, because there's two and I'm expecting them to be a third one down the road. People are going to want this. This is one to definitely look out for. Coming in number 1 is Tokyo Mirage Sessions. This is a game out there that came out very, very late in the Wii U cycle, and once it came out, everyone was like, can we please put this on the next Nintendo console, since no one really cared about buying it for the Wii U because it was the Wii U. Nintendo listened, they put this out in 2019 and no one bought it. I have heard that this game didn't even sell 1 million copies out there for the Switch, and for a first party game, for what it was, that's not good for Nintendo. That's actually considered very bad numbers for Nintendo. This is a big IP. This is Fire Emblem, although it's kind of hard to tell that it's Fire Emblem because it doesn't really say Fire Emblem. It says FE, but not everyone's going to realize that. And it's a crossover of Shin Megami Tensei. This is something that people are going to probably really, really want down the road because Shin Megami Tensei is becoming a very popular series by the minute because of Persona, the spin-off series. Crazy that the spin-off of the game is more popular than the mainline game. I think that's kind of crazy to say and kind of insulting, but I'm not an Atlas fan. I mean, I like Persona 5, but I'm not a diehard Atlas fan. I'm sure you guys are probably ashamed to say that the spin-off's more popular than the mainline. I don't know. My friend Sly, he probably is. Actually, I think Sly's more of a Persona fan anyways. Point is, you can't find this game anymore. Still at that price, 60 bucks, if you can find it. You're only going to be able to find this at, pre-owned at this point. You're not going to be able to find a sealed copy. This game is out of print and one to buy eventually, because once people start collecting first-party Nintendo games, because this is a Nintendo first-party game, just like Octopath, these are probably going to be two of the ones that you definitely really are going to be struggling to get because what it is, low. Well, this is going to be a little easier, but it's going to be more expensive because of what it is. This is just going to straight up be hard to find and going to be expensive because it's hard to find. Apparently the game's good. I need to play it. I'm busy. Are you guys satisfied? Or am I going to get comments immediately right after this video? Hey, can we get part 4? Max, can we get part 4? You just did this part 3 video and we want part 4. No, there will not be a part 4 for a bit. I don't want to do a part 4. No more. It's not happening. Stop. I know you're dying to type the comment. We're done here. We did 10 more, even more Switch games to buy before they become super rare. You guys should be very happy with that. I am very happy with that. So it's time to wrap up this video. I have been talking for way too much. Please, no more comments on all my videos. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm hearing voices in the middle of me recording a video. I gotta try to film my Garfield video at some point. Anyways, backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out my Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out the Instagram server, and check out everything else that's in the description below. I will see you guys in the next one. Haha, time to play more of you. Yes.